matters in the courts, and the third accused in the ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa, has told Accra High Court that he vowed to declare war on the Attorney General, Godfrey Adame, after he failed to fulfill his promise of getting him discharged from the case. Now, earlier, the court admitted prosecution's submission of all the WhatsApp messages between Mr. Jakpa and the AG into evidence. My colleague Lodidu Asare reports.
Counsel for Richard Jakpa, Thaddeus Sorry, objected to the tendering in of the messages by the prosecution into evidence, citing unreliability since the number of messages between the AG and Richard Jakpa, as well as their authenticity, were contestable. However, in response, the Director of Public Prosecution indicated that the same messages had earlier been presented by Ato Forson as evidence, so it was relevant. She argued that it was not enough for the defense lawyers to say some portions of the messages had been omitted when they had failed to indicate which. In her ruling, Justice Serwaa Asare noted that since the same messages had earlier been submitted by the defense and admitted, the court would admit the prosecution's evidence, which they said was the full disclosure of the engagement between the AG and Richard Jakpa. During cross-examination by the Director of Public Prosecution, Richard Jakpa told the court that after clandestinely meeting Attorney General Godfrey Adame on the blind side of his lawyer to make a deal in order to be discharged at the submission of no case stage, the prosecution went ahead to add him to the accused persons and he was made to open his defense. Jakpa explained that following the agreement, he gave some relevant documents to the Attorney General via WhatsApp in July 2022, which were relied on to build the prosecution's case in the trial. But DPP Yvonne Atakra Obobisa dismissed his assertions, adding that the same documents had already been filed by the prosecution 5 months prior to his meeting with the Attorney General. The prosecution went ahead to show him the documents that had been filed in February 2022. Jakpa further noted that after assurances made by Godfrey Adame in the house of his cousin, Justice Johnny Kulendi, the AG reneged on his promise. He thus declared war on the Attorney General, indicating that he would employ his underworld and street skills to deal with Godfrey Adame. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tiayeboa spoke to the media after the hearing.
You witnessed it. You heard matters. You make your own judgment out of what you heard. You heard issues about someone operating in the underworld and someone using his legal skills, declaration of war against the Attorney General. All this came up. So, interesting proceedings. We show some documents to him just to ensure that he answers certain questions. I think the proceeding for today has met our expectations.
Former NDC Deputy Minister of Communications, Felix Kwashi Ofosu, said Richard Jakpa's testimony exposed the AG.
We get the sense that the Attorney General wants to see that Mr. Jakpa is doing this in retribution for what he believed to be the Attorney General's failure to keep his part of the bargain. But the point is that Mr. Jakpa insisted that he has not said anything that hasn't happened. If I have discussions with you and we agree that you will do something and you fail to do it, and I come out to say that we agreed that we will do this and didn't do it, I have not said anything that is not true.
When asked whether the audio recording between himself and the Attorney General Godfrey Adame was part of his statement of declaration of war on the latter, Richard Jakpa indicated that had the Attorney General stayed within the protected confines of Justice Kulendi for their meetings, there would not have been any need for any recording. He also indicated that the failure of the Attorney General to fulfill his promise of having him discharged at the case or submission of no case, this wouldn't have happened. The case has since been adjourned to June 27 for cross-examination of Richard Jakpa to continue.
Well, let's stay a while longer on this subject. Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner. He's been following this case. He joins us live on Zoom. Mr. Pebu, thank you very much for your time. You know, all these revelations about, WhatsApp conversations between Mr. Richard Jakpa and the Attorney General, is Mr. Jakpa not making it, this case a bit more prolonged and protracted for all of us?
Not at all. I'm of the opinion that he's trying to lay bare the fullest extent of his engagement with the Attorney General. And you see, the more this session drags on, the good that it does to us as a society, and most especially for those of us in the criminal justice system, or even let's just say the justice system as a whole, is that it serves as a cautionary tale to us. Because each day you hear Jakpa and Dami, then you are like, hey Charlie, Let me be careful about my phones, my conversations, everything. So it's good. It's a cautionary tale to all of us. It should drag on because as it does that, it helps. But most especially, it's helping Jakpa's case because the more questions they ask him, then the more they lend credibility to his case. You see, because so far I haven't seen how they've impeached him, not much at all. So the more questions you ask him, then the more you give him opportunity to reveal more this insight to the case, or let's even put it simply, more secrets. That's
what does all this do to the substantive case of whether or not, you know, he's guilty in the case that's been brought against him in the ambulance trial?
Yeah, so what it has to do is that he's going to show, he's showing, okay, the case he's building is that here is an attorney general who deceived him and took documents from him. Here is an attorney general who sought to suborn him, coaching him that he should answer questions in a certain manner. Here is an attorney general who asked him to go and bring a fake medical certificate, right? Here is an attorney general who encouraged him to lengthen his evidence so that he, Godfrey Dame, could travel and come, etc., right? So these things that the trial judge couldn't use to stop the case, it is possible in the unlikely event that there were any convictions, the Court of Appeal can base on this same evidence and quash everything because the court does not lend its processes for political vendetta. You heard that part where he said President Kufuor and Oforiatta are on his neck. He, Godfrey Dame, on his neck. You heard that. People in the central region are cheap. They will pump money on them, etc. No, those have destroyed us. So it is possible for the Court of Appeal to quash everything. Yes. So let it go on.
There are some who also say that the tendering of tapes and WhatsApp messages is beginning to turn into a trial of the Attorney General. Is that what you read?
Partly. You can't run away from it because, yes, you see, the primary purpose of it is for Jakpa to secure his liberty. So in actual fact, if I may turn it, the Attorney General now is become collateral damage, all right? Because Jakpa is trying to show that there was, prosecutorial misconduct. So the person of the Attorney General is collateral damage because Jakpa must prove that case, trying to show that prosecutorial misconduct. As I explained earlier, the engagement by the Attorney General, taking documents from him, assuring him, can you imagine, with statements such as, everything has been arranged. You know, in Ghanaian English, a court case, if you say everything has been arranged, you understand a very wide meaning, bringing in so many people. So this, it's unfortunate that if the Attorney General's reputation
I'm
is
afraid,
being damaged,
I wish this was going to be my final question, but permit me to ask this very final question. It almost seems as if, you know, we've all turned a blind eye to this other side of the story. Now, every single day we go to court, there's a name of a Supreme Court judge who's been mentioned in all these meetings between Mr. Jakpa and the Attorney General, the learned Justice Kulendi, the very respected person. He's yet to make any comments on this matter. What does this do to his credibility and, you know, the whole justice delivery system?
We are all destroyed. Kulendi is destroyed. The justice system is destroyed. Ghanaians are destroyed. Brand Ghana destroyed. So you see why I keep saying that, look, they should stop this trial. They should stop this trial in the public interest. You see, from day one, the day Jakpa said, look, there is a tape, I said it, stop this trial, stop this trial. Now you see, so we are all sinking. Yeah, so Kulendi is not the only one. Yes, he is destroyed. We also are destroyed as a nation because it's shown how, as a nation, we are weak. The president can't even step in to stop this thing when we have been making noise. Hey, stop this trial. You know, that means a young man, he probably, you know, of course, there's that ego. He wants to prove that, no, he did nothing wrong, but the tape is finished thing. So there was nothing more to try to repair. If it were that the tape is an absolute falsehood, there was no meeting at all, then Dame has a point to prove something. But this one, the meeting took place. So once it took place, there is no amount of questions you can ask that can wipe the meeting. So what is shown is that as a nation, we are weak. There are no elders in this town, very senior lawyers, except Kweku Ansasari, former director of the law school, Professor Apieje Etuya, and then so you heard Professor Jampo and Co. Just few. But there are lots of stalwarts, lots of senior lawyers. People are not weighing in. And brand Ghana is being destroyed left, right, center.
I'm afraid we've got to end it here. Thank you very much, Martin Pegbo.